Surprising is the perfect word to describe the Utah Jazz sitting at 3-0 and beating some pretty good squads to get there. Because they're looking like the washed out headlights on a Toyota Corolla and those ugly highlighter jerseys. Kelly Olynyk is stumbling into game winners. Things are simply just falling their way. I know Danny Ainge is sitting up in the press box, scratching his head like, why is this ragtag bunch winning games? We supposed to be getting Victor Wembanyama.
Danny Ainge out here GMing when he doesn't even realize he's GMing. This man tanked and got better. Where they do that at? You know what I'm saying? They traded away their two best players, right? For a team of role players. You know what I mean? Jordan Clarkson is probably one of the biggest names on that roster for keeping it a full stack. And this Jazz team has been looking invincible. Listen, man, all I know is this. You hate them or you love him. But you got to tip your hat off to Danny Ainge and what he does for any franchise in their front office. Regardless of how this season plays out, they could go 3-78 for the rest of the 79 for the rest of the season, right? But he was able to make this team better for the future, get a bunch of young pieces, get a bunch of draft. Like, Danny Ainge must have the basketball mind of Albert Einstein. That's the only thing I could think of, you know?
Hey, trust me, he ain't doing this on purpose, all right? But that's why we love sports. You roll them balls out and you see what happens because anything is possible in the wise words of Kevin Garnett, right? You can do all the speculation you want, all the preseason rankings, all the power rankings, but on any given night, just look how far we've come, bro. Years ago, it was given. We already know who's going to be in the finals. The regular season felt meaningless. I'm a credit to just the prominence of a three-pointer, and if you're making them, how any team can win on any night. But it seems like we're so far away from that. Like, yes, the Warriors look like world beaters again, but even they have a loss. It's just so good for the game that there's parity amongst the 30 NBA teams.
Ty, beautifully said, man. And it shows that it's not top heavy. You made the beautiful point of we got 3 or 4 years of Golden State, Cleveland, back to back to back to back. And it was boring. It was bad for the game of basketball. I mean, you love to see Steph go off, and you love to see LeBron lose the way that he did. Got to throw that shade. But this was very much a league. If you didn't have a star, you weren't winning games. I think it speaks to the level of talent. And I think, like you said, the three-pointer also is the biggest contributing factor because now you don't have to be dominant to score. You know what I'm saying? You could be 6'1", light-skinned killer with no real physical attributes whatsoever. Once you've got a good handle and a great shot, you can dominate the league. And so at the end of the day, you don't need to be Shaq anymore to win rings, or you don't need to be LeBron to win rings, you know? I love that.
You talked about something, and that's the talent across the NBA. While you saw those two players that did leave Utah, there were some good names that they not only brought in, but that remain. Lauri Markkanen, while he's not going to average 25 for the rest of the season, he is a solid player. I know you got some love for him, former Bull. Jordan Clarkson, he gets busy. Kelly Olynyk's still on the team. Colin Sexton is one of the bright young stars, even though he got disrespected in free agency. Mike Conley, Rudy Gay. Like, they got some names. It ain't just
THT. Yeah, they got Malik Beasley. He's a very respectable NBA player. Mike Conley. Like, you're right. They do have a decent roster.
Yeah, but the question here is, right, like, okay, what are you trying to do, Danny Ainge? What is the plan? And I think we got a little pump and dump situation happening in Utah. He's trying to pump the value up, see how good they can look. Lauri, please average 24. Jordan Clarkson, look like you had another step after Sixth Man of the Year. Your ceiling is even higher because we're trying to trade you and we want to bait you as well. Make you look as valuable as possible before we ship you to the highest bidder.
Ty, great point, man. Actually, I didn't even think about that aspect at all because, right, Lauri Markkanen, who he was last season, and Lauri Markkanen after 3 games this season, I think it's safe to say his value has jumped at least a little bit, right? And if you apply that across the board, you're basically getting $1 out of 15 cents, basically,
Nice.
You know? So, man, maybe, and again, I know Danny Ainge probably did this by accident, but I still got to speak to the basketball mind that is him, because as much as I hate talking about him and making our podcast about him, as sometimes he often frequents our podcast, the guy just, whether it's he knows what he's doing or he's just so lucky, or a combination of both. But Danny Ainge has got it. When it comes to general manager, that's somebody you want in your front office, plain and simple.
Really on the plug, really on the plug.